Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our guest lecture session, online guest lecture session this afternoon. We are privileged to have our guest speaker with us, Mr. Philemon Senginawa. And Mr. Senginawa is currently working for the Department of Foreign Affairs. He is now serving as the Acting Director General for the Multilateral Trade and Commercial Relations Division. It's a new division created just recently in the department, and he's the acting director general, and he has served as the first secretary to our mission in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. And he started his career at the National Library, and then he joined the Department of Foreign Affairs, and he's been working in that space, ASEAN, the Asian region. So with his broad experience and his knowledge about ASEAN and the ASEAN region, the organization itself, and his experience in Malaysia, we've invited him to talk to his students, share his experience with you this afternoon. So uh, we welcome you, Mr. Senginawa, and we thank you for your time. We understand you're a very busy man, but you have made this commitment to come and talk to the students and share knowledge with them. And it's a privilege to have you. So without further delay, I'll hand over the virtual microphone to you. And we'll have the questions and comments afterwards. We will listen to Mr. Senginawa first, and then we'll open the floor for questions and comments. Yes, Mr. Senginawa, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Yagiora, for the brief introduction. And thank you for the invite to at least share my experience with the students. Yes, a brief introduction, Mr. Yagiora has laid out already with the Department of Foreign Affairs currently. And I'm happy to share my experience with ASEAN, PNG's relation with ASEAN, and my past experience. So yes, unfortunately, I didn't come with a prepared presentation to at least share with you. But if you can bear with me, I'm just going to speak from my experience. Yeah, basically in the last 10 years. So I started dealing with ASEAN in 2015. So before that, as you study into ASEAN and PNG's relation, PNG was taken in as an observer of ASEAN since 1976. And then in 1981, PNG was given an elevated status to a special observer. So PNG became a special observer. That was during Prime Minister Julius Chen, late Sir Julius Chen. Term is, and then from there, we still remain as the special observer. I think probably just recently, we were given that status because we sort of showed interest to join ASEAN. ASEAN was very close to PNG. So basically, our main interest, sort of, sorry, I'll just try. Our main interest in joining ASEAN is so one is geography and cultural closeness, proximity. We share land border, maritime borders with ASEAN countries. The biggest ASEAN economy, which is Indonesia. And we also sit, it's like a bridge between Southeast Asia and Pacific. So that's geography and cultural proximity. Second one is strategic diversification. ASEAN is emerging as a powerful regional bloc, with significant global standing. Its economy is regarded as emerging tiger economies of Asia, like Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia. So, we've been in association with Australia for a very long time. So, with that, to diversify our relations, ASEAN is the next closest regional bloc. And then, in terms of trade and investment, economic integration, regional economic integration, that's one of our interests as well. So that's like the third main interest. Like ASEAN as a combined economy, it sits between like the 5th to the 7th largest economy in the world. So that's like over almost 5 trillion US dollar in GDP combined. And yeah, that's trade and investment opportunities. And regional security and stability is also one of our interests. PNG is PNG is a member of the ASEAN Regional Forum, ARF. ARF is a sort of an offshoot of ASEAN. It's a regional security structure architect that deals with security, non-traditional and traditional security issues within the region. So yeah, we that's where our interest is, and then PNG as a developing country economy. We have South-South cooperation. We cooperate with in technical cooperation with developing countries. We share a lot of common challenges together, so we exchange knowledge, technical skills, and that in addressing those the common challenges that we have through South-South cooperation. So that's our interest. What sort of makes our interest in aligning with ASEAN? So we want to be members of ASEAN. We've expressed our interest, but there are requirements that Papua New Guinea has to fulfill, have in place, and then the 10 member countries of ASEAN can accept. So the current newest member of ASEAN that was accepted last year is Timor-Leste. So ASEAN has 10 member countries since its inception. It has 10 member countries, and Timor-Leste joined last year and became the 11th. So the main sort of prerequisite that is already proximity, our closeness to the ASEAN, sharing land and maritime borders with ASEAN countries. So the next step is diplomatic relations, establishing diplomatic relations. We do have sort of diplomatic relations with all the 10 member economies, say countries, but we only have 5 physical establishments. So we still need to have another 5 embassies in each of those countries to qualify for one of the prerequisites, the requirements. That's 10 embassies or embassies represented in each of those 10 member countries. And also the Ministry or the Department of Foreign Affairs should have a ASEAN secretariat. And then when we appoint an ASEAN ambassador, we can appoint our ambassador to Indonesia with accreditation as permanent representative to the ASEAN. Okay, this is so the ASEAN Secretariat within the Ministry of Department of Foreign Affairs will coordinate all ASEAN activities. So ASEAN, intentionally, as they were progressing, they wanted to become like, or they're trying to emulate EU, the European Union sort of economic community. And in, I think, 2017, it was the 50th year, yes, 50, 60. Well, yeah, they launched the ASEAN Economic Community. So it's sort of like it's becoming an integrated region. So when we talk about regional integration and that, this is joining ASEAN is part of that regional economic integration. So we for effective, seamless sort of connectivity, trade, and exchanges in technical skills, knowledge, technical cooperation. So that's ASEAN. Our prerequisite. So recently you've had that PNG in the recent ASEAN ministerial meetings. PNG has expressed its interest again in sort of I think it'll be like increasing our engagement with ASEAN so that it shows our shows that we are really interested in becoming a permanent member of ASEAN, and we would need to build our capacity within the ministry, Department of Foreign Affairs, as well as other key agencies that be coordinating with their counterparts in the ASEAN, and they have like almost 1,000 meetings, the ASEAN facilitated meetings in a year. So hundreds of them, depending on issues and the member countries who've seen that mostly it's capacity building workshops and seminars, and then you have intersessional meetings. Yeah, these are our sort of what PNG needs to solidify, have in place before we talk about committing ourselves to joining ASEAN. It's the biggest market for, if you talk about trade and investment opportunities. It's the biggest market next to next to PNG. We don't have a trade or investment sort of agreement with any of the ASEAN countries. We do have sort of like investment promotion protection agreement with 5 of the ASEAN countries that we have diplomatic relations with. We don't have any trade agreements, regional trade arrangements with. We do currently. There's discussions with ASEAN and MSG on an ASEAN MSG sort of free trade agreement colleagues in National Trade Office working on that. Yes, so integrating into the ASEAN regional bloc would be would serve as great benefit for Papua New Guinea. We gain access to the ASEAN free trade area. For our oil, gas, fisheries, coffee, also, tourism that come to Southeast Asia, they can come over to Papua New Guinea as well. Connectivity in the infrastructure, like in energy and transport, digital economy. So there's opportunities there, benefits that we can get in people-to-people links. Yeah. So, well, these are some of the, opportunities that Papua New Guinea can benefit from in becoming or joining ASEAN. So ASEAN is very, strong on strengthening institutional engagement. So there'll be a lot of institutional engagement between member countries of the ASEAN during those intersessional meetings or workshops and that. So Papua New Guinea, do we have that capacity to participate or host those meetings and events? So that would be the role of the ASEAN Secretariat or division within the Department of Foreign Affairs to coordinate this. So they'll coordinate, and then you have the implementing agencies to go and participate or attend those ASEAN events. And, yeah, but what we get out of there is the market for our produce. We connect with the ASEAN economy, in terms of like financial regulations, structural reforms. These are some things that we go, effectively participate, engage with ASEAN. We can benefit from. Yeah. So I think I'll probably stop here, and the students, if they have anything or to ask, like if I missed something out, they can ask. So I can maybe continue or answer from there.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Senginawa, for a very interesting and informative presentation. So yes, we open the floor for questions, and just one ground rule: make sure the questions are about ASEAN, and then also the other area that you might want to probe further or ask is Mr. Senginawa's experience having in Malaysia and as a ASEAN member state, what he observed and saw and all that. So make sure you ask questions that are related to these two areas. So floor is open for questions, comments from the class. Anybody with a question, please go ahead. Just unmute and.
Good afternoon, Mr. Trigger and Mr. Senginawa. Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan, and I have 3 questions. Yeah, just a couple of questions and comments in relation to ASEAN. So my first comment is in relation to what you mentioned on PNGs and like economic gain and to do with trade and cooperation. So with South-South cooperation, on which you mentioned, and ASEAN on your presentation. So with that, I agree with what you mentioned in terms of the trade and cooperation between PNG and other ASEAN members. So as you can see, like Philippines and Indonesia, they usually import like rice from other ASEAN members that are part of the group. So if PNG like they happen to join, it's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good. I can say it's gonna boost PNG, as PNG can also be a supplier to the two countries, being that they all would be ASEAN members. And my second comment is in relation to PNG's bid to join the ASEAN. Yeah, it's a comment. So with PNG to join the ASEAN, do you think that like will there be a sort of influence between Australia and Australia? Yeah, since Australia being one of the closest allies and our long-term partner with PNG, do you think will there be some influence, or will there be some restriction that Australia wouldn't want us to join ASEAN? Yeah, that's my question.
Jonathan. So I'll answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Your first point was a comment there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just observation. No, thank you. Okay. Yeah. And then your second point is there going to be an influence from Australia
Yeah, some issues like
to discourage PNG from joining ASEAN? I mean, we. I mean, for joining ASEAN, it doesn't have to be necessary for us to join ASEAN to like benefit in any trade or investment opportunities. We can come up with an agreement, a trade agreement with ASEAN. That's what Australia and New Zealand has. Australia has ASEAN free trade agreement. New Zealand has New Zealand ASEAN free trade agreement. And then they have Australia and New Zealand ASEAN free trade agreement. So Australia and New Zealand are sort of the arrangement. The ASEAN arrangement is they have dialogue partners, just like in PIF, Pacific Island Forum. We have dialogue partners. These are our biggest aid or donor or development partners like Australia, US, China. So ASEAN also have dialogue partners. So New Zealand and Australia are part of the dialogue partners. I mean, yeah, like I said, we don't necessarily have to be a member of ASEAN to fully benefit from its trade and investment opportunities. We can have outside agreement, sort of regional trade arrangements, regional economic integration arrangements, free trade agreements. Those arrangements can still create this PNG ASEAN or enhance this PNG ASEAN relation. But to go further, like and be a full member is aligning ourselves with and then in our interest, the one that I've mentioned earlier on around yeah. So and for Australia to sort of discourage PNG or play a part in let's say, sabotaging our interest in joining ASEAN. I don't think they would, because ASEAN was there, and then the same member states of ASEAN with Australia created APAC, what is now APAC. So we're an independent country. We can join it. All the other economies have agreed. Like they're happy for PNG to join. They're supporting our bid. It's just only one economy saying that we don't have the capacity, the administrative capacity to sort of administer ASEAN PNG relation. So, and yeah, we're not at that stage. So there's only one country, which is Singapore. They have reservations for Papua New Guinea joining ASEAN because of that. So, yeah, I don't think PNG, Australia would have any sort of bigger influence in any way to affect PNG's or influence PNG's membership into ASEAN. It's a big market that Australia is also benefiting from. Like if you're in Singapore, Malaysia, you go into the grocery shops, the big supermarkets, and they're selling fresh, produce like banana and taro and yam and mango, and these are all from like Australia, not Queensland, far not Queensland, Australia. There, because they have that free trade agreement, they can just have to meet the biosecurity standards and all that, and then they can trade. So why can't we do the same with our produce when they can? ASEAN can get from Australia the same. Well, I think does this sort of answer your question?
Yes, Mr. Senginawa, thank you. I wanted to ask another question, but upon answering the question, you also answered that question, so yeah, thank you. That's all from me. I'll leave it to my co-mates, my colleagues to ask you questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. We now move on to Jemima. And thank you, Mr. Senginawa, for your answer.
Thank you, Mr. Nagira. Good afternoon, Mr. Senginawa. I have two questions. The first one is in regards to development and integration of ASEAN. So the question is, how do governance, political stability, and institutional capacity affect PNG's ASEAN bid?
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. So, political stability, how does it affect PNG's interest in becoming a member? So, we need real political stability for, the country to push its interest there, and then working towards joining. If we have change of government, change of foreign policy outlook, change of foreign policy interest, and then they sort of push that behind, say we won't join ASEAN at the moment. This won't be our focus. We look at other interests elsewhere. That will sort of affect PNG's bid to go into joining ASEAN. We need political support, stability. When government has that same stable idea, focus to get PNG to the ASEAN community. And the second question is institutional capacity. Institutional capacity is our capacity within our departments, ministries, and agencies in both facilitating ASEAN's work program, as well as hosting its annual events, and then those policies or programs that are discussed at that leaders level and at the ministerial level to trickle down and get implemented at the local level. So this is like basically our capacity sort of gap for PNG. But we believe that as we go along, we'll improve, we'll build our own capacity to sustain our sort of increasing engagement with ASEAN. So, and because I mean, it's myself, I've noticed it's very true. The current sort of institutional knowledge or within public service, it's not that at that level where we can do things on par with our partner countries or our counterparts in other countries that we have relations with. So yeah, that's institutional capacity. Some of the skills and technologies that we don't have, that Papua New Guinea government needs to focus and have this in place so that the government machinery can deliver. So I think that's my answer to your question. Is I hope it's okay with.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that answer. Sorry. My second question is in terms of challenges and readiness, how ASEAN membership help PNG address development challenges such as infrastructure, education, and climate change? Yes, that's my second question.
Yeah, in education, the exchange is true. What I've mentioned earlier on in our interest in Asia, ASEAN, particularly through South-South cooperation. A lot of they're all developing countries, emerging economies. So they have experience that they wanted to share with countries that are at the same development stage as them. So through education, the exchange programs between ASEAN countries, and they've provided, like for instance, Indonesia right now has provided, offered huge number of scholarship. I'm not sure, probably around almost 1,000. Yeah, 1,000 scholarships, but PNG, I think, managed to utilize only 10% of it because of lack of coordination with our, DHEST, Department of Education, and the counterparts in Indonesia. So, these are those sort of exchange programs that, and then the universities also have sort of twinning programs amongst themselves, universities of the ASEAN member countries. So we use infrastructure. So in terms of infrastructure, where we serve border, and where in areas that we cannot provide infrastructure services like electricity, distribution lines, and that, like Indonesia that has that capacity, they build it and they sort of we accept them to supply it into our border communities. So these are, some of those engagements that will benefit PNG if we sort of interact, engage more with the ASEAN member countries. Like Singapore is a trading hub. It's a country of traders. So basically, they buy any commodities and then they resell again. They can buy oil and gas and go and store it in the storage tanks, wait for the prices to fluctuate or go high, and then they sell it again. So that's what they do with Papua New Guinea again. They buy in Asia and then they sell it to countries like PNG and the Pacific Island countries. It's like other areas, like if we go in terms of infrastructure, if we go to ASEAN, we have you can have digital free trade area or zone between PNG and Indonesia. So anything gets processed or repackaged or redistributed through it's a free trade zone, so all the costs are exempted, taxes, and that's sorry. I hope that answers your question, or was there another point that I didn't stress on?
Thank you. I think you answered the question. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jemima, and thank you, Mr. Senginawa. We move on to Rafaela. After Rafaela, we have Modi and then Crystal, Jonathan, Tess, and Kaylin. Rafaela, please go ahead. No, I think she's not in the meeting room. Huh? Oh, okay, yeah. All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Yagira and Mr. Senginawa. Am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so just making sure. I just had a bit of a network issue. So, okay, so I have a few questions to ask. Three actually. So my first question is there a set criteria or are there certain requirements in place that countries have to meet in order to be a member of ASEAN? That's my first question. My second one is what prompted PNG's bid for ASEAN membership? And my third question is, in being a member of ASEAN, what would be one main way in which Papua New Guinea could benefit from it? Thank you, and those are my three questions.
Thank you, Rafaela. There are a series of questions, three questions. So the first one is set criteria. I've not really criteria, but like it's particularly region-based, geographic sort of membership. Like we have Pacific Island Forum for a certain regional geography. And then you have ASEAN, you have Northeast Asia, you have South Asia. So the Papua New Guinea, we kind of like stuck in between the Pacific and the Asia. the ASEAN, Southeast Asia. So we're like a land bridge that connects Asia to Australia to Pacific. So we have one foot in the Southeast Asia and one foot in Pacific. So in terms of criteria, there's no set criteria. They've already, but because countries are showing interest to become members of ASEAN, a lot of the countries have shown interest for a very long time. Countries like Bangladesh, but they are South Asia. If you look at geography-wise, they're not close to South Asia, Southeast Asia. So now with the countries showing interest, other countries showing interest, ASEAN has set a criteria for new. There are two new countries. I mean, interest, which is PNG. PNG has been always there since 1980, and then you have Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste got its independence in 2001, and just within 25 years or so, 24 years, they're now a member of ASEAN. They've showed commitment that they wanted to be a member because they're part of Indonesia before, so it's easier for them. So the main criteria is, like I said earlier, it's to have 10 embassies in each of the 10 member countries of ASEAN, and then you appoint an ambassador as permanent representative to ASEAN. That's like number 2. And then number 3 is showcase your capability in facilitating ASEAN, your administrative capacity. So yeah, basically it's like 3-4 requirements. So Papua New Guinea, we haven't fulfilled most of the requirements. I think I mean, if our leaders have some form of charm or whatever to go and talk to the ASEAN leaders to accept them without having 10 embassies in 10 ASEAN countries. I don't think. Well, that's something for the ASEAN leaders to decide on. They when they make decisions, it's consensus based. Like all members have to agree. Even one member disagrees, there's no consensus. That's all. This member has reservations on these issues or that. So yeah, that's why the question on your set criteria on what prompted PNG to be interested in ASEAN. It's geographical proximity, our closeness to ASEAN, Southeast Asia, and the emerging market, the big market that our Papua New Guinea can enter into for trade. For trade purposes, if we're gonna trade with any other country apart from Australia and the Pacific, and that the ASEAN or the Southeast Asian group of countries, they have one of the biggest markets in the world. So I mean, they can become a market for most of our commodities. We are shipping them to Europe and Australia. I mean, and then to US. This next door is a almost 700 million, or 400 or 500 million people. And also because during the time that region was very volatile, meaning there were a lot of sporadic conflicts around the Southeast Asian region. So in order to join that, we will become a observer. And joining ASEAN is how Papua New Guinea can collaborate with the ASEAN countries in ensuring stability, peace, and security in the region. for commerce and trade and economic activities to prosper in the region. Yes, so and the main benefit is trade and investment opportunities for Papua New Guinea, people-to-people links, cultural exchanges, South-South, like I said, South-South cooperation, exchange of technical development programs between PNG and other ASEAN countries. I think does that answer your questions?
Thank you, Mr. Senginawa. You did answer my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rafaela, and thank you, Mr. Senginawa. We move on to Modi. Modi, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Senginawa, for your presentation as well as answering the questions. I have a few questions, and before I go into my questions that are based on the presentation, I just have one question on your line of work. So from your brief introduction, it was mentioned that your career started when you worked at the National Library in the early 2000s, and now you're the Acting Director General for Multilateral Trade and Commercial Relations Division at the Department of Foreign Affairs. So my question is basically, what advice can you give to us as young academics and intellectuals, given that there are some of us who would want to follow in your footsteps?
All right, thank you, Modi. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Yes, Modi, thank you.
Okay. Well, yes, I basically, when you got out of university, you gotta look for jobs, and it's quite difficult. And you might as well just anything that lands on your feet, pick it up and work with it. So they were looking for people to go in as casuals to store stack the library books in the shelves, and every time during the morning you go stack them, in the afternoon stack them again in the right places. Yeah, it's like very manual job, and then after that sort of became a reference librarian. So yeah, assistant. Then served after like 3 years, and then I got appointed to this to the department. I joined the department. Well, yes, is when I started, when I went to uni. My dream was to work in the foreign service, foreign affairs. But unfortunately, after graduating, because I majored in I did psychology and minored in political science. So yeah, after graduation, there was no recruitment for foreign affairs. So then that casual job chance came up, and I joined the library, and then the rest was history. So my advice is basically, start somewhere. You don't expect to expect big things just when fresh out of uni. At least start somewhere. Like any job, start somewhere, and then your passion can take you there, take you to where you want to be. Yeah. So I guess from the same recruitment, if I remember correctly, your lecturer, Mr. Yegiora, we sort of won the positions there at the same time, but he decided to join the Divine Word. So now he's a lecturer. If he decided to join Foreign Service, I think we'll be colleagues at the department now. Yeah. So that's how we have this relation with Mr. Yagira and Divine Word. Yeah. So basically, my advice is start somewhere, even if it's very low down the ranks, start somewhere, and then be committed so that when you can, people can value your ideas and what you bring to the conversation, and that they will sort of recommend you for higher sort of roles that will go in line with your passion, or to help you achieve your job passion, which is your dream job. So sorry if I didn't give the right advice.
No.
So you may have other questions also. So
Thank you so much for your advice. Excuse me. So moving on to my questions that are based on your presentation today. My first question here is, how does domestic politics and stability affect PNG's bid to be part of ASEAN?
sorry, can you repeat your question again?
Apologies. How does domestic politics and stability affect PNG's bid to be part of ASEAN?
Politics,
Yeah, and
domestic politics,
domestic stability. Yeah,
policies,
stability
policy.
and politics.
Okay. Political stability or policies,
Yes.
Okay, domestically. So, in terms of political stability domestically, it's important. Like this, like I've discussed it. It's a commitment that Papua New Guinea wants to fulfill. So, when there's no political stability, there's changes of priorities, and then we may have foreign policy, and in the foreign policy, it talks about PNG's interest in joining ASEAN. So if the government changes, they might have a different outlook on foreign policy. So, but then they must be encouraged to maintain that same position, that same commitment and drive towards becoming a full member. So, yeah, it depends on the political stability is not sort of limited to PNG. Only it's around the region. Is anything within the region that can affect sort of our, if it's in because ASEAN has, if you want to be a member of the ASEAN, also you have to be party to the treaty, the ASEAN treaty that they have is the ASEAN's Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, TAC, Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, which is strong on non-interference and peaceful settlement of disputes. So if there's a country like Indonesia and the rebels in West Papua, that they have a civil sort of war, civil unrest, Papua New Guineans as a member to ASEAN, we won't interfere with Indonesia's territorial issues or disputes. It's between Indonesia and its own its domestic issues. That may sort of a lot of Papua New Guineans are more close to West Papua, so they may have an influence on PNG's position on that. Yes, so that's sorry. Can you? Oh yeah, and that's political stability and policies. Yeah. So policies. When you talk about regional economic integration, sort of like joining ASEAN, all our policies, because we have sort of a similar policy objective to ASEAN, we have to align our policies now. You know, ASEAN is big on talking about sustainable development goals. So our policies, ASEAN has, we eventually will become part of the ASEAN Economic Community. So most of our policies must be aligned in economic, monetary, trade. Yeah. So, and then sometimes countries have different sort of settings. They tweak policies according to the social settings. Yeah. That's also, is that okay? Does that answer your
Yes,
question? Or?
thank you, guys. It answers my question. I'll ask my second last question. So, I'm interested to know if our current foreign minister does he have a stance on PNG joining ASEAN?
Sorry?
I'm interested to know if our current foreign minister does he have a stance on PNG joining ASEAN?
Oh, PNG
No,
joining
no, just
ASEAN. Oh, yes,
yes.
yes, yes. The foreign minister returned from the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in July, mid-July, and that's where he pledged PNG's sort of recommitment in joining, ASEAN as a full member. So this has when he's expressed this, it now comes back to the department to sort of act on it now, fulfill, get PNG's full membership in ASEAN. So how PNG is gonna achieve that? It may take sort of like 3 to 5 years. It won't be just immediately. So yeah, but then it comes back to political stability and that. Political stability doesn't mean that the change of government will change policies or priorities. Governments may change, but how bureaucrats advise ministers to maintain priorities and policies and carry it forward. That that depends on the bureaucracy to ensure that there's stability. So yes, Minister Techenko is committed.
Thank you. Thank you for answering this question. So my last question is, what can PNG contribute to the association as a permanent member?
What?
If we decide, or if we join, what can we contribute as a permanent member of the association?
Market access. As a permanent member, market access, and PNG, especially PNG has been, certain parts of Papua New Guinea have been parts of, in ASEAN, there's track 1, track 2, they call track 1, track 2, conflict preventive diplomacy. So PNG has experience in peace building in our region. So we've been in ASEAN contributing into ASEAN on conflict resolution and peace building in conflict zones in ASEAN region. The other part, that's the other part of the diplomacy. The other part is I say is market access. We give them market access, they give us market access. We export our goods and services there. They export to ours. Also, we build our skilled workers, technical skilled workers can go work in the in the industries. So this is like economic integration. We still maintain our sovereignty as a country, Papua New Guinea. Yeah, just step.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, that answers my question. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Modi, and thank you, Mr. Senginawa. Let's move on to our next attendee, Crystal. Crystal, the virtual microphone is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Igira and Mr. Senginawa. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna start with my comments and then to the questions. I have 3 comments and 4 questions, but one of my questions is related to Modi's first question, and you answered that already. So I'll just move to my comments. Once again, thank you, Mr. Senginawa, for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. And what I gained from your talk is the idea that PNG's Asian bid is not just a one-time goal, but it's a long-term commitment that PNG has been in and to be part of ASEAN. So it's something we must reflect in how we train our diplomats and plan our development and to involve people across the society. You've shown that ASEAN can support PNG in building stronger institutions, creating partnership, and becoming more prepared for future challenges. And we're grateful to learn that from you. And you showed us how PNG can build a stronger identity in both the Pacific and Asia. And your experience helps in understanding that through Asian bid, PNG can grow and share its voice in the region and be part of the regional integration and build further connections through ASEAN. And you have experienced being in key positions across different branches. And it's clear that you understand what it takes to move forward. So it's good to hear that PNG can make progress to connect with ASEAN, but also a good reminder that PNG still have to have more work to do in terms of capacity and institutions, and all parts of the government needs to align and be well prepared. Now to my question. Do you think PNG and ASEAN membership would shift PNG's foreign policy focus more towards Asia than the Pacific and its traditional partners? If so, should that be a concern or a strategic advantage? That's my first question.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. I'll answer your first question. But firstly, thank you very much for your comments.
Should I repeat the question?
The question is sorry, your question was oh yes, Crystal, sorry, can you repeat your question?
Do you think PNG and the Asian membership would shift PNG's foreign policy focus more towards Asia than the Pacific and its traditional partners? And should that be a concern or a strategic advantage?
Okay. Thank you. Well, this would be my just personal observation. I don't think it'll be of any concern. It's an enhancement of relations between PNG and the ASEAN countries. Our relation and engagement with Australia and Pacific and New Zealand will always remain the same. And we can also bring it to another level. Different programs that we exchange, or in terms of like trade and partnerships that we have with the Pacific, it will still remain. It's just it'll be more like a strategic sort of approach. More, we're increasing our engagement and relations with ASEAN through us joining ASEAN, so that we tap into the economic community that they have, that those benefits that they share, that sort of non-restrictions that they place on their trade amongst themselves. Then that's where we will have more advantage on, or we can benefit from. Yes. So I don't see it as a sort of, it will diminish or shift our foreign policy focus. The foreign policy, when it comes on a country has sort of set a number of foreign policy objectives or goals, so that, like, enhancing economic diplomacy to trade and investment and that. So the one of the focus would be having trade agreements with ASEAN, or sort of something like that. So and then you have regional security, peace and stability as one of the other foreign policy goals and objectives. So you have other areas to look at. Then you go to sort of regional cooperation, and then you look at our regions again, the Pacific, which regions we are an active member of PIF, and then ASEAN as well. Yeah, so that's I think my response to the question. I don't think it would affect or shift our foreign policy focus, because we would have foreign policy goals that we would focus our interests on. A certain, we up to 4, 5, 6 foreign policy goals. Thank you. I think.
Thank you. Thank you for answering the question. To my second question, do you believe that our diplomatic institutions are adequately prepared, both in terms of skills and resources, to engage with ASEAN's complex structure?
Yes, in terms of the capacity, the diplomatic missions. Currently, we are reforming the department, the structure. We are recruiting more new people into the department, but it's just government's commitment to. The department is one of the biggest sort of spending agency of the government. We don't generate revenue. In the past, when immigration was part of foreign affairs, yes, we do generate revenue, but now immigration has become an independent statutory body. They generate revenue. So it's the government's commitment to, see that embassies are fully equipped with staff and PNG diplomats to pursue its interest. So, in terms of capacity, we currently with the sort of the number of officials capacity we have in the department, we can still manage or improve or enhance our relations through our engagements. But it's the resources part of it, financing, funding. Government can allocate sufficient funds, then we can, without funding, that would be our hindrance, I guess. No funding. yeah, so I think that's my answer to your question.
Thank you. And to my third question, last question, how can PNG use Asian membership to support its domestic development goals such as youth employment, education, and connectivity?
Sure. Even without a ASEAN membership, we could have, like I said, through South-South cooperation initiatives. That's where countries imagine countries like Thailand or Malaysia, they have we have exchange programs where, I mean, if in the future we have an agreement with, because PNG is increasing its economy, sort of like, for instance, Toyota. We are one of the biggest buyers of Toyota and its products, vehicles, and that. So PNG might come up with an agreement with Toyota to build a plant, to build some of its parts in PNG. So through that, Toyota has plants in the region where through employment you send workers, skilled workers, out to go work in those plants, factories, handle those machineries, and then bring those skills back to PNG. Before you have that, you need to have some form of agreement in place where you can for labor mobility. So in ASEAN also, they have sort of like a labor mobility, like in Philippines, they have a bureau that sort of has a database of all domestic servants, domestic workers. So all other countries in ASEAN have similar. So people go to get, they want to hire a domestic servant, a house lady or something like that. They go there and there are agencies that provide that. They recruit and then they send them out. So yeah, so each country has, like, for instance, in Malaysia alone, there are over 1 million domestic servants from Indonesia working in homes in Malaysia. So yeah, that before that we need to have some form of arrangements, bilateral arrangements, multilateral arrangements with ASEAN, and it opens up, it provides an opportunity for labor mobility. Yeah. For instance, like in Malaysia, they're recruiting Myanmars to come and look after their shops, run their shops. So they work there for like 2, 3 years, 4 years, and they have operations in PNG. They move them from Malaysia to manage their shops in PNG, but they're from Myanmar. Like Myanmar is also an ASEAN country. So now you see a lot of Myanmar people are in PNG now. Like, I recently got around in settlements and I've seen them in the shops, and okay, because the Malaysians are recruiting them. Yes. So does that answer your question? Or
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the very insightful answers and for sharing your experience with us. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Crystal, and thank you, Mr. Senginawa. We move on to Jonathan Siba.
Good afternoon, Mr. Yegira and Mr. Senginawa. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation today, Mr. Senginawa. I have 3 questions. My first one is, I was doing some reading into ASEAN, and it has a most of its agreements are non-binding for the members. So how does the non-binding nature of ASEAN agreements affect the effectiveness of regional cooperation? When I ask this, I'm thinking more the lines of peace and security in the Southeast Asia region, because some of the member states like Myanmar and even Indonesia have internal conflicts and stuff like that. So how are these affected with their membership of Asia? Does the membership ensure some form of safety net, I guess, for the conflict?
That's the question, Jonathan. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, in terms of security, peace and security, regional stability, most of these are discussed in the ASEAN Regional Forum. So ASEAN Regional Forum was also created because of these sporadic conflicts happening around the Southeast Asia region at the time. And then I mentioned the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. That treaty that is signed between all ASEAN member countries, and it's on non-interference. So if there's a conflict in a country, another country can step in and say or tell the other country how to deal with the conflict within the sovereign boundary or borders. So only unless the conflict spills over and affects flow of trade, commerce activities, that's when member countries would come in and at least call for some form of redress on that conflict. So not really, yeah. So basically non-interference, and when we call for peaceful settlement of disputes, which is also a hallmark of that Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. So yeah, the member countries do not interfere, but ensure that the conflicts do not affect the integrations.
Okay, we're having network issues, I believe. Okay, the thing now is back. Mr. Senginawa. network issues, I believe. While waiting for Mr. Senginawa to rejoin, Mr. Ako is back online. Oh no, Mr. Senginawa is still in the meeting room.
Guys, sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
I received an incoming call and sort of disconnected me from the
Okay, sorry.
video chat. So yeah, we can return back, resume with the answers. The question, the question was Jonathan's question was
non-binding nature of Asian agreements and regional cooperation.
Yes. It's non-binding. Any decision when it's non-binding, it's the decisions are based on consensus. So every leaders, they give their consent to a decision. So yeah, it's not really binding, and that's from the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation as well. Whenever a sort of an agreement, countries, it depends on the countries. If they see that that agreement would benefit them in a good way, to implementing the policies and the programs that are laid out in the agreement. So that means that you're not being forced to commit to any of the agreements.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, sorry. My second question is sort of related to what's been discussed by my other classmates in terms of what PNG stands to gain and what PNG can give. As a PNG is a Papua New Guinean who's at the bottom end of probably at the bottom end of the hierarchy when it comes to international treaties and agreements. How can the PNG government ensure that the benefits that are received from these partnerships with these partnerships can make its way all the way down to the common Papua New Guinean, where they too can feel like they are benefiting from these things rather than it just being news headlines?
Okay, let me give you a picture. If you're in a village, you're part of a cooperative society. You're looking for your cooperative society owns like combined, you own pretty good amount. I mean, cocoa plantation, which you can when you want to export would be like 3, 4 containers, 5 containers. So when you have that cooperative societies in place now, that those agreements on top will actually those people at the bottom, they have changes of exporting their raw commodities. That and then government has to create a form of supply chain link. There's distributors, wholesalers, exporters. Or the cooperative society can from everything just export from there. So the next biggest market right now is the ASEAN market, the nearest. See, so if you're gonna export your cocoa to Australia, you're gonna go through all the biosecurity, requirements and hassles, and to Australia. They do buy our cocoa, but then it will take time to go through all those requirements. So once you have a system or an agreement in place, that village people at the bottom end, they're contributing their cocoa plantation to that 3 containers. So once you sell out, at the current market rate, it's export. You got 8 to 10,000 US dollars for a container. So that's, you see how the village people would earn if they get access to export to those markets out there. So that's how, that's one way Papua New Guineans can benefit. That's market access, accessing market in Southeast Asia. So now there's a demand for cocoa. There's a demand for cocoa, so especially PNG cocoa. And yeah, I think that's one way where I can see where a local community can benefit. The others are, institutional strengthening and engagements between agencies where they build their capacity to go down and address, the challenges at that the sub-national levels, the district levels, provincial levels. I think that's all for I can answer.
Thank you. Just a final question. You had mentioned earlier that there was some resistance against PNG. Was there a member country that was against PNG joining the ASEAN?
I did mention the country. Not resistance, it's reservations.
Reservations, yes.
They have others like doubt that we can really join and handle the dealings of ASEAN. So yeah, that was Singapore. All the other countries, Indonesia has been our biggest supporter. Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand now, Brunei Darussalam. They have been our supporter. They said we will support you to be a member. And others also, except for Singapore. Like I said, they have reservations. They only say they have reservations, but
what was the reasoning?
What we believe is, like I said, it's the administrative capacity of, the PNG governance. Are we capable of handling ASEAN matters, ASEAN affairs? So that's the doubt they have. So that's the reservation. So like I said, the decisions are consensus. Once one party or one member has reservations, it's like it's not binding. It's not there's no commitment to it. There's still no support, even though it's 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Yeah.
Thank you. That answers all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Senginawa.
Okay.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Mr. Senginawa. We move on to Tess. And we have roughly, I think, 12 minutes remaining. We'll stop at 3:30. So we'll have Tess and then Kaylin, and go ahead, Tess. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So thank you, Mr. Senginawa, for the presentation, and good afternoon also to everyone else, and Mr. Ako and Mr. Yudhira So I have two comments and two questions. So I'll start with my comments. So my first comment is regarding your presentation on Indonesia's support for PNG in joining the ASEAN. I think that Indonesia's support for PNG to join the ASEAN, it does not come as a surprise because Indonesia's been supporting PNG to join this ASEAN association for a while now. And I think that given that Indonesia shares the history of being involved with the West Papua's Free Papua movement, I think that this bid for PNG to join may be a stepping stone towards overcoming that the difference or that movement with Asia. And who knows, maybe in the future, and if PNG joins the ASEAN, it might open talks about the independence of West Papua. Also keep in mind that with Donald Trump's administration, it took away or removed international aid to the Pacific. So this may be one of PNG's opportunity of in receiving aid from the Southeast, Asian Association. So that's on my first comment. So on to my second comment is you mentioned PNG's geographical location, that PNG is not situated anywhere near Southeast Asia with, in that they are trying to be part of the Asian Association. And that's one of those already challenges that will be looked at by the Southeast Asian countries at the time. And when we're looking at that also, we also have to, the association has to keep in mind that national security also is one of those interests that countries like Australia and America look at. And so this might really be a very competitive challenge for PNG if they want to join the ASEAN. And also at the same time, we have PNG is also trying to join the National Rugby League bidding. So it's going to be a very competitive atmosphere or nature of how PNG can strategically try to ensure that the approach it's taking in these two biddings is more peaceful, and that at the time when it takes that approach with these two bids, it must have PNG's national interest must always come first. So that's on my second comment. On to my two questions. So my first question is, with PNG joining the ASEAN, is there a challenge that will be posed will it be posing a challenge to other Pacific countries if PNG joins and becomes a member of the ASEAN? That's on my first question. And my second, or should I leave it to Mr. Senginawa to answer?
Yeah, your question is, will it pose a challenge to the Pacific Island countries if Papua New Guinea becomes a member of the ASEAN? Well, I won't see it as a challenge to the Pacific Island countries. It would be of benefit to them as well, because statistics data survey has shown previously that whenever Papua New Guinea's GDP increases or economic activities like infrastructure development and that happens in Papua New Guinea, which sort of boosts its GDP, it also sort of trickles to the Pacific Island countries. So Pacific Island countries sort of benefit from the economic activities in Papua New Guinea as well. And sort of we create that bigger market for them as well. We won't be a challenge to them. We'll be an opportunity for them to tap into and benefit from the expanded market access with Papua New Guinea being a member of the ASEAN. Yeah, so other Pacific Island countries will also benefit. Even Australia, and New Zealand. Now, I mean, they're benefiting with their current free trade arrangements with free trade arrangements agreements with ASEAN. Most of their farms are supplying fruits and vegetables and crops to the ASEAN market. We can do the same. Papua New Guinea can do the same. So that's your first question. You have a second question you can ask.
Yes, my second question is, does PNG have the capacity, in your opinion, does PNG have the capacity to perform or contribute if it joins the association?
We will improve our capacity once we've accepted ASEAN. That's when we improve our capacity to take courage of that increasing engagements that we're going to have with ASEAN. Yeah. So I believe we can still improve and build our capacity.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Senginawa, for your responses.
Welcome.
Thank you, Tess, and thank you, Mr. Senginawa. Let's listen to Sweden. We have Sweden, Dalsi, and then we'll conclude with Jocelyn.
Thank you, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Singinawa, for your wonderful presentation. So I just have some comments and a question to make. So first, my comment. Just in your presentation, you have said a lot about PNG. If PNG happens to join the Asian group or the economic group, it will help him or help the PNG to develop its economic wise and also to boost its economy in terms of exporting goods and all this. So I agree with that, and so with that and to my next question, PNG to my next comment, PNG, as you can see, if PNG is located in you have mentioned, as said by Stes already, that PNG is located in a geographical location is where every countries are now looking to it right now, which China is trying to influence it, and also America and Australia try to influence it. So to my as for myself, I see that if PNG joins the Asian country, then it would be a threat to the other partners or the Western allies partners of PNG, and this would be a challenge, like Tess had said or mentioned in his comment. So this leads to my question, first question to my question. So what is your opinion as a citizen towards this bid to join ASEAN in relation to economic and political development of Papua New Guinea as a member of ASEAN? If Papua New Guinea join ASEAN also, does it going to affect PNG and its Western allies or the major aid providers or donors such as Australia and US?